Hi, welcome back. I am reviewing Escape by Carolyn Jessep, and she is just extraordinary. She's strong. She is one of the few people that has been able to leave the FLDS church with her kids, and she's got 8 of them, and thrive and start a new life. And that's something that, really makes her an amazing mom, makes her so strong because she was born into the church, and it's a cult, and so they brainwash people. And I would like to invite a guest on my show and to explain some of the practices in his own words. Okay? In his own words. And he might look like Mitt Romney. And he might look like Gavin Newsom. But let's bring him out, ladies and gentlemen, so he can put it into his own. He can say, he can practice his preaching. He's just the vile piece of shit known as Warren Jeffs. Now, welcome him. Alright, guys. I'm Warren Jeffs. My sermon today is about how a woman needs to respect her man, and how the woman needs to make sure that she is obeying her man at all times. Every problem a woman faces is because she's not being perfectly obedient to her husband. Women, you are being instructed to listen to the whispers of God. Pray to know your husband's hearts. A wife's goal is to be able to meet his every need without ever being asked. I don't believe in this at all, so I'm gonna invite Warren Jeffs to say this, because this is dog shit. He's a piece of shit human being. Like, women weren't even allowed to say that they were being abused in his power, or in the congregation. Just so heartbroken to hear that, the abuse was always the woman's fault and never the man's. And if you spoke about it, it was against the FLDS religion, and you could be shamed and ostracized and punished. And when you have 8 kids and there are 4 wives outside of you, and 1 marriage and 1 paycheck, and you have to turn in your paycheck, showing up to the grocery store with black eyes kind of just seems like taking one for the team, because these women are taught that the more kids they have, the closer they are to Jesus. And the vile pieces of shit they were married to, the old men who marry teenage girls, literally you turn 18, you get an old ass man as your husband, and you're not going to be the first wife, and you're not going to be the last one, but you are going to have as many kids as possible in order to have status in the society. And it's heartbreaking and it's sad. I'm really grateful that she got out, because not a lot of people do. Not a lot of people break out of their norms, or even the towns that they grow up in, and try to be their own unique person. And this woman was so brave, and she saved her kids and her own life, because this man treated her like a cow and controlled her, and it's just devastating. Especially because you have people like Warren Jeffs. This is an actual photo of Warren Jeffs saying things like, a wife's goal is to be able to meet his every need without ever being asked. If she asks questions about her husband when he gives her an order, It's because she is contaminated in her heart. If she was really in harmony with him, God's whisper would have made it precisely clear what was expected of her. And then here's the quote of the book. Even if a woman did exactly what her husband demanded, he would still find fault with her and accuse her of still not being in perfect harmony with him, because otherwise she would have understand what he really meant, which is, honestly, it's domestic abuse. It's disgusting. It's vile. This guy, he's in like a protected prison. Why? Jen pop him. Jen fucking pop him. Like, and all the other conspirators, like, this isn't like my first, like, look into polygamy. It's not like I've seen escaping FLDS. I've heard these stories, and it's always heartbreaking. It's always so sad. But this woman, she is the exception. She got out, and her story is so good because she tells it so that if you're an outsider, you understand it. But if you're inside, you can also feel empowered and understand what's going on in your community, in your lives, in your families. And she doesn't judge you for not knowing or the people in it for not leaving. It's just such a clear picture of what goes on that I think that it's inspiring, and it like made me hug my mom a lot, because I'm grateful I didn't grow up in a cult, and that I don't have to have a religion, and that I have been sterilized instead of being treated like a cow that needs to make as many calves to do God knows what, because in the FLDS, not only are the females, when they turn 18, sent off to be people under 21 to me are children. Like, some of them are smart, not all of them. So to me, an 18-year-old girl is still a child. Like, I feel like I am 25 at heart, and that's when you start being not a child. But you're definitely not like yourself at 18. Like, you think you know who you are, but you don't. And these people, because their religion's so hardcore, they don't know anything but, listening to people like Warren Jeffs and being told what to do. And it's easier that way because, if you don't listen, you're going to get beaten or go to hell, because only contaminated people go to hell. And if you don't keep sweet and obey, you're going to hell. And what happens to the boys in this situation is that they, get dropped off in the middle of the highway and are told to just, you're excommunicated, you're contaminated. And this could be like for kissing girls or listening to a CD, and that's just sad. And the husbands, if they don't treat their wives like pieces of shit and keep them in line, they could lose their house and their job, because it's all like intertwined. And their families, if they love them, they care, but if they don't, they don't. And it's just so violent and so disgusting. And I think Warren Jeffs is a violent, disgusting piece of shit, and we should just hang him high and let him dry. But the reason I'm so impassioned about this is because I read her book, and I'm grateful that she escaped so that she could be just a role model to other people in other situations, even, because she was really strong and she asked for help and she got the help, and, she's living her best life. And so I would give this book a 10 out of 10 because good art moves you, and technically literature is art, and good art, like, evokes a feeling. It might not be like sunshine and butterflies feeling, but I think that there's a lot to unpack about this book, and I'm gonna give it a 10 out of 10 because it makes you think, and thinking is very important.